Good evening, everyone. We are back continuing our Studio Ghibli retrospective. And today we're talking about Tales from Earthsea, which is the 2006 movie directed by Hayao Miyazaki's son, Goro Miyazaki. There is a lot of politics and behind the scenes with this movie, which I had no idea about. I thought this was just going to be a cool movie about like dragons and kind of set in a sort of England European backdrop, which I guess it kind of is. It's set in the world of, was it Enland or something like that?
Enland, yeah, or Endland, one of them, yeah.
So this is actually based on a book series by Ursula K. Le Guin, which is a great name. The Earthsea series, and this film sort of loosely adapts the first four books in one movie. We will be talking about the author of these books because she has been very, very vocal about her dislike of how everything was handled, and I feel kind of bad for her because it feels like she was sold a lie when it came to what this movie was going to be and what she thought it was going to be and what it ended up being. So yeah, I'll kind of set the stage with that. This was the first time watch for both of us, I think, wasn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. It was all right. It opened cool because there was a dragon. I was like, oh, this is fun. And the thing is, it was a very stagnant movie. It was sort of, it wasn't like, oh, it's getting, oh, there's, it was just kind of like, you know what I mean? Just kind of move forward. It wasn't a bad movie by any stretch. It just wasn't the most entertaining entity. But it starts off well. It starts off well, and you think this is cool, and you've got obviously the magic sword and the whole because you've got like the Gandalf character, haven't you? Like the old wizard and the whole like.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
You know what I mean? The whole he's there to rescue you, and he's like, because even the way he talks when he's just like when he rescues him and he rescued. So well, no, he rescues him and he doesn't rescue the other prisoners, but the dude just like, oh, what about them? And he's like, I've left them unbound. The rest is up to them. It's that kind of like, I'm not responsible for them, but I have left it so that it's that kind of fatherly kind of, but he's not going to take responsibility for something that, do you know what I mean? So the whole vibe is very, very similar, but yeah, it just moved along at a very, I wouldn't say slow pace, but you know what I mean? It's, yeah, I don't know. You get what I mean? It's kind of like a band where every album is the same, and it's like, okay, you've hit your peak now. Like, do you get what I mean? Though, where it's like not bad in any stretch, but we've done this before, and it just feels like it's very stagnant.
Well, I went into this movie sort of like looking at reviews beforehand a little bit. And by that, I mean like Rotten Tomato percentage scores or however many stars it has on IMDb. And I tried not to let that influence my opinion, but it's fairly difficult not to when you've gone through all of these Studio Ghibli films and you're looking ahead and you go, oh, okay, the next one in terms of audience rating is considerably lower. And it is like this is currently sitting on a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes and 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. So when you look at all the films in the list, you're like, oh, okay, so what is it about that one that drops off? So I kind of went into this film with that idea in mind that this one doesn't go over as well with audiences as much. But I do try and distance myself from that and I go, you know what, this could turn out good. And I will say that I don't think it's justified of 37%. I think that's very, very low. For me, this is like a bang average movie. I don't like giving numbered reviews, but I would go for like 5 out of 10. It's very stock. It doesn't really try anything new. The characters are fairly underwhelming. As I say, like they're stock characters. You have the hero, you have the damsel, you have the wizard, like wise mentor character, and you have an evil villain who's just evil and wants eternal life and is like an evil wizard woman. I was going to mention that as well. You watched the dub, right? You got Willem Dafoe as the villain.
Yeah, I was going to say it was still very unclear whether it was kind of like Frieza in Dragon Ball, where everyone's like, I feel like this is a girl, but it's not, and it's like it's one of, but it could, it's that whole
very androgynous, right? I like an androgynous villain.
I found that quite interesting.
Well, this is what's really confusing because I watch all like the Japanese versions, and the voice actress of the villain is Yuko Tanaka. Very undeniably a female, like woman's voice as the villain. And then when they said, "Oh, this is Lord,"
by a woman. So
say that again. Sorry.
Goku is also voiced by a woman. So
Yeah, but you know how sometimes they disguise it? You know, like the voice of Ash? You're like, oh, okay, it kind of
Yeah,
sounds like a
but Ash
boy's
is a
voice.
kid. Goku's a man. And has been voiced exactly the same. So it was voiced by this same woman when he was like supposed to be 12 years old, and voiced by the exact same woman when he's in his 50s.
Oh, right. That's a
So
problem.
yeah,
But yeah, so I thought, I was going to say, is this the first all out like Studio Ghibli villain that we've had? But then I was thinking, well, you had like the King of the Cats in The Cat Returns, and he was kind of like a slapsticky, but he was still fulfilled the role of a villain, I would say, in that he was trying to prevent them from leaving
it had
his kingdom.
Maleficent in it though.
It did, but apparently she didn't voice the Maleficent like character, like the evil sorceress lady. Oh
No, she
man,
voiced
sorry.
whatever her name was. But yeah, like, she was in it from Kingdom Hearts, and I thought that was cool. I was like, I know this voice. It was one of those moments where you Google it and go, hang on, I know this person.
Yeah, so I was really confused. Like, at least in your edit, sorry, in your version, the dubbed version, you've got Willem Dafoe, undeniably, probably Willem Dafoe's voice, a man's voice. Whereas I've got this character that looks like a woman, is voiced by a woman, and then all of a sudden, at the end, they're like, "Oh, this is actually Lord Cobb, and he's like an evil magician." I'm like, "Wait, he what?" I was very confused. This isn't the first time that this has happened in Studio Ghibli, by the way. I always go back to this as an example, but in Princess Mononoke, you've got the Wolf Mother character who's voiced by Gillian Anderson in the English dub, and then is voiced by a guy in the Japanese version, and it's very confusing sometimes to me. But nonetheless, what was the voice acting like? Because you also got Timothy Dalton in
Yeah,
your
no, the
version
voice
as
acting was good.
Sparrowhawk.
The voice acting was good. I liked it. What it was the last one, wasn't it? Where the voice acting was quite boring. Quite
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it was a massive jump from that. Yeah, the voice acting was so much better. The characters felt like they suited the roles much better. Which one was the one that was really good chemistry between the characters? It wasn't just Spirited Away. I think there was another one, but I wouldn't say it was up there with that sort of quality. But it was each character had their own vibe, had their own yeah. So I thought the characters all worked for what they were.
Mm-hmm. I was going to go into the plot for this one, but the plot on IMDb is very, very basic. It just says in a mythical land, a man and a young boy investigate a series of unusual occurrences. Well, that could be fucking anything, couldn't it? Essentially, it's set in this
It's
this
like
mythical
those.
world.
It's like those AI things, you know, where it comes up and it says they're making a sequel to whatever, and they give you a description which could literally be anything, like the return of da 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 in
Yeah.
this in a magical world, and it's like, yeah, we knew all that, we got all that from the like, and it's just funny. Like, obviously, we know it's AI, but it's like that where it's like a big description that doesn't say anything.
Mhm.
Kind of like news articles. Why we don't read news articles? Because they give you a headline, and then the first paragraph is a backstory on said person. The second paragraph is rephrasing what the
Yeah.
initial thing said, and the third paragraph is a bit more backstory. And then by the time you've gotten to at the end of it, there's 2 lines about what we actually were looking for, and you're like,
And you've lost interest at that point. It's like, okay, well, I don't care now because
yeah.
yeah.
It's like videos on you, like the shorts where it's like, oh, top 10, blah blah, or whatever, and it will take forever to get to the list because it wants the algorithm to go, yeah, but you've been looking at it for this long. It's like the video wasn't that good though.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so this is set in the mythical kingdom of Enland, and we get a little bit of backstory at the beginning that once upon a time dragons and humans lived in perfect harmony. However, dragons took to the air and had a way of fire, and men went to the land and the sea, essentially. So the two kindred spirits of man and dragons became sundered from each other. And then that's really the only backstory we get. We know that they keep saying that the balance, like capital B, like that everything is off balance. I'm like, is this like the fucking Force or something? Like, we need to bring balance to the Force and, you know, unite everything. Essentially, there's an evil wizard warlock guy who wants eternal life and has opened like a fucking portal or next dimension between the land of the living and the dead. Yeah, and then you've got these two sort of what would you say, like prophesized entities. You've got the main character, which is Prince Aaron, and you have oh god, what's the name? Theru, who's like the princess sort of character, and the two
I like
unite
that
together to fight it. There's a lot of dialogue in this film which is about the light fighting the dark and everything like that. Now, you're a big Kingdom Hearts fan. You've talked about this on streams before, and I'm very, very aware of how big a Kingdom Hearts fan you are. So I watched this film earlier today, and I'm noticing like a pattern in the dialogue, and the main character, Prince Aaron, almost has like a split personality, and there's a moment where essentially like the good side of him becomes separated from his evil side, and it was reminding me of the whole like heartless nobody thing. And I was watching this, I was thinking, I think Dale's going to really like this movie, because there's a lot of sort of like parallels and similar story beats that you could extrapolate to things like
The thing
Kingdom
is,
Hearts.
right, those story beats and stuff like are great. But I was thinking about this the other day, and Kingdom Hearts does so many things I really fucking hate. And it's like, it's my favorite series, but it does so many things I don't agree. It's the same with Dragon Ball. Like, I hate when there's so many inconsistencies in things that are just like, yeah, but that doesn't work because this. And Dragon Ball's just forever doing things. It's just like, oh, we're going to say this is the thing. It's like, yeah, but 10 episodes ago, that contradicts that. And then before that, and it does so many things. It's like Kingdom Hearts, when they introduce time travel and everything is connected. I'm like, no, stop everything connected. I don't. It's really weird that that's like my favorite thing, because it does so many things I despise.
Speaking of things I despise, the pacing of this film. Well, sorry?
Are we talking about Jimmy Savile again?
Honestly, like the weakest thing for me with this film is the story and the pacing. I'd say the characterization as well. I think you had characters there that you could work with. I just don't think any of them are particularly memorable.
I thought about that when I was watching this in the pacing, because again, it was 2 hours. You know, it was one of those, and I don't know whether that whole westernized thing of movies are an hour and a half has got us used to a certain type of pacing as well, because these movies don't seem to generally fall into a category of this going to be, they're roughly an hour and a half, they're roughly this, they were all just sort of, this is 2 hours, this is an hour, this is and they're all over the place. So that might be a reason, because I thought, is this just too long again? Is it one of them where it's just, yeah, it's too long? Is it that? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like it needs to be that long, but does it feel slower because we're used to that hour and a half, you know, certain cadences done in certain way? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, when people talk and they phrase things, we're used to people talking a certain way. If you go over to, like, you know, Japan and you hear like, oh, no, not that. No, what I mean is that you go over to Japan and you hear like certain words will be said in certain ways, like you know, certain adjectives will be before words or after words. It's that kind of thing where it's not something you're used to. So I wonder whether that's what our issue's been with the pacing in these. I don't know, but I feel like that could be a thing.
I just don't think there was really enough interesting stuff within the story itself. Now, I think part of the problem with that is the fact that, I mean, I've never read the original book series, but the fact that they've taken like 4 of the books in the series and just kind of like hodgepodged different story elements into one, that can throw off the pacing, because, you know, just like a story having like a 3-act structure, you're taking 4 of those, you're sort of cherry picking elements and just throwing that against the wall and seeing what comes out of it, essentially. So I think that could be part of the problem too. I was all over the place with this movie right from the intro. I was kind of into it at the beginning, and then when I look at it, once all said and done, the intro just feels completely pointless. Because we don't really get much with the dragons initially, which is fine if it's sort of like a fantasy world in decline and once upon a time there was this high fantasy thing. The main problem I have is that we're introduced to the king of Enland, who it seems like this really nice ruler. You know, he's apparently there's like a growing darkness in the land, and there's like a pestilence and a sickness that's spreading among the people and the livestock and whatnot. And he calls all of his counselors together, and he's like, right, we need to isolate certain areas. And then he turns to his healer, and he says, like, please try and find what's causing this, and we'll send help and aid and provisions to the people that need it, who are sick and unwell. He's not painted as like this evil king, because he really isn't. He's just, you know, he's doing what he can for his people. And then all of a sudden, his son, who we've had no real setup for, we haven't really been introduced, we haven't really seen any kind of father-son relationship between Prince Aaron and his king, his father, the king, sorry. And then all of a sudden, Prince Aaron just like fucking stabs and murders his father and steals his father's sword and leaves the kingdom. And that's kind of our setup for the beginning of this film. once all was said and done, because it does kind of come full circle at the very end of the film, Prince Aaron says, like, I'm going to go back to the kingdom and, you know, atone for my sins, essentially, atone for my crimes. The dude commits regicide and patricide at the same time, and we get no setup or any real reason why he does this. I thought this was going to be something that gets set up later in the film, and it doesn't. So after the film's said and done, I thought maybe I missed something when I was watching this film, you know, scanning through the subtitles and whatnot. So I come to Wikipedia to read the plot. And this really didn't help me. So this is the first paragraph of the plot on Wikipedia. It says, the king is dealing with disease sweeping across his kingdom and his disappearance of his son, Prince Aaron. For reasons unknown, Aaron kills his father, steals his father's sword, and flees the castle. We don't cut back to that kingdom. We don't see how the people of the kingdom are dealing with the loss of the king. This pestilence that's spreading across the land and, you know, people being in dire straits and dying of, like, you know, fucking disease and this evil darkness that's creeping into the land never gets brought up again, really. And we just abandon that whole plot line. So what I did read was that the whole death of the father and Aaron killing his father at the beginning of the film was a decision that was made by the producer, Toshio Suzuki. He said, oh, this will be like a really good way to start the story. Like that, let's have that story beat in there. But we get no fucking setup for it. It comes right the hell out of nowhere. It feels completely rushed. It feels really unjustified. It kind of makes you hate your main character right from the get-go. And it's never really paid off. It's never cut back to. It feels completely pointless. You could just literally chop the first part of this film, the first segment of this film, get it gone, and you wouldn't lose anything in terms of the plot. You really wouldn't.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's just, yeah.
I kept thinking about it. It's like I like things that, you know, you don't need loads of reason to it. You don't need to go back on things. But sometimes you do, like, kind of look at things. You're like, oh, so what? Okay.
It's not like, so I was thinking, like, does Aaron really want the throne? You know, is his father an absolute son of a bitch to him, like, behind the scene? I don't know. Maybe it's in the book, but as far as I know, the whole him killing his father was something that was created completely out of whole cloth for the movie.
Why did Jeffrey Dahmer eat people?
Well, quite. So yeah, very questionable intro to this film. And then the rest of it, it's just kind of like a road movie, isn't it? He strolls through the land, he meets like a mythical wizardy Gandalf character, and they travel together on the road. They sort of pick up all their party members. It's not even a big party, really, is it? It's Gandalf, and then there's like a kindly woman who takes them in, who owns a farm, and then there's this magical, mystical girl who turns out to be a dragon at the end. Spoiler alert.
My favorite is Final Fantasy 15, where they're going just before someone's wedding, and it's basically a stag do, essentially. Like they end up on some fucking, they go into like his wedding, their car breaks down, they end up on some fucking journey, and I was like, this is probably just like the greatest stag do in the world. That's basically what the movie is. It's 4 lads just before his wedding.
So this, as I mentioned, like, this film's completely stock for me, but the main intrigue of this is the production of it and the behind the scenes. So apparently Hayao Miyazaki, 20 years or so before this film was released in 2006, did actually reach out to the author, I'm just going to call her Le Guin, and said, I'd like to adapt Earthsea. And at the time, she vetoed it. She said, no, I'm not going to grant you permission to do this, because at the time she assumed that all animation would be something like akin to what Walt Disney were putting out. And she was like, I don't think this is the right direction in order to adapt my books. And then it wasn't until she saw My Neighbor Totoro where she was like, oh, wow, I actually have an appreciation for the work of Hayao Miyazaki. And then, of course, over the years, you have the Oscar-winning projects coming out. You've got Spirited Away. You've got Howl's Moving Castle. And I think she reached out to him at that point, and she had a change of heart. So she reached out to Hayao Miyazaki saying, actually, I'd really like, I'm really impressed with what you've done. I'd like you to adapt my works. But 20 years have passed at this point, and Miyazaki has sort of like lost that enthusiasm that he had. And he's also, with his own stories that he's told, cherry-picked a lot of similar thematic ideas maybe, or iconography for a lot of his previous films, and he didn't really have the enthusiasm to do it anymore. So he declined the offer. However, the producer, Toshio Suzuki, was probably seeing dollar signs, or yen signs, I should say. And he said, well, Hayao, your son can do it. Goro, let's get your son in there. And I think there was probably some politics going on here a little bit, because Hayao Miyazaki, every other film, keeps announcing his retirement. The producers are probably thinking about the longevity of the company and maintaining that Miyazaki name tied to Studio Ghibli. So they probably think, well, Goro can be your successor, so we're going to get him in here and he can direct the film. When Hayao Miyazaki heard that his son was directing the film, he was really opposed to the idea. And actually, he doesn't sound very supportive of his son at all in any way. I think there was probably a lot of bad blood between the two. I don't know if that's the case. This is all conjecture. But Hayao Miyazaki's quoted as saying, quote, he can't possibly handle directing. He probably can't even draw, end quote. So he really wasn't supportive of his son at this stage anyway. But Goro had already been coming up with some storyboards, and the producers were sort of working behind Hayao Miyazaki's back. They were pushing on ahead with this thing, come hell or high water anyway.
That's a song by Kiss.
So, yes, it is. It's a very good song by Kiss. So eventually, like, the deal's signed, and Hayao Miyazaki goes with his son to sign the deal with Le Guin. But at this point, Le Guin, well, she's really disappointed that Hayao has sort of stepped down and doesn't want to be involved in the film. But she is under the impression still that Hayao Miyazaki will be a producer on the film or have some input into the screenplay. Like, he will still be overseeing everything. It's just his son handling everything. That turned out to not be the case. Hayao Miyazaki didn't have any input in this, and in fact was on non-speaking terms with his son throughout the entire making of this film. And initially, I just get the idea that he just felt his son wasn't ready, and like, my son's not a director, he can't do this, he doesn't have the experience, he can't handle something of this workload. So that's sort of the scene that sets the scene for this film. And the author has been very vocal in recent years on her blog, saying how she really dislikes how everything turned out. She didn't like how everything was handled, and that it really isn't an adaptation of her works. She goes on to mention, I'll bring up the quote in just a second, that it was surreal seeing a film that bears no resemblance to her works at all, but yet the characters, they're using all of her characters' names. Now, I imagine that would be weird for you, like, you know, because I know that you've written some stuff. If things got adapted into a film from your work and they just completely ditch the story but use the characters' names, that'd be surreal, right?
That'd be fun. No, this is the thing, and this is like it's like those things when because people always say stuff like they write for themselves, or it could be songs as well. Like you know, I was watching interviews and stuff like, you know, Black Sabbath, and they were saying we write our songs for ourselves. If other people like it, that's a bonus. Obviously, I know there's a certain aspect they probably go, oh, let's do this to make it sellable, and obviously when it goes through publishers and stuff and blah 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 blah. But I think that's when you have the most fun and you like your stuff the most. But then when it comes to, like, you know, Disney or stuff buying things, they go, right, let's make it ultra sellable. Let's do this. So yeah, there's the thing is, there's, what was it? Because one of the big ones as well was Roald Dahl and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the one they did, the Gene Wilder one. He really didn't like how that turned out. So it's those sort of things. Like a lot of companies, when they're made into movies, I think they go on more of, right, we need to compact it into X amount of time. We also need to make it sellable. We need to do this and blah, 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 blah. The thing about movies is you have to compact loads of stuff into a certain amount of time as well. Books can be pretty much as long as you want, in the sense of, obviously, other stuff comes into it with books that big that, you know, taking up too much space on the shelf, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but that aside, like, you take X amount of time to read a book. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be days, it could be whatever. A movie's usually in one sitting in that hour to 3 hours, like, sort of thing, in sitting. I'm talking, that's the bigger spectrum, even though, like, you get the 4.5 hour movies and stuff. But so there's all those kind of things when it comes to movies, if you're going to always have things to take out. You know, movies, I think, lose the most authenticness out of a lot of forms of media.
Yeah, and here's the thing: when it comes to adapting something, I realize changes have to be made. It's a very different medium from, book to film. I get that, but I think inherently you want to try and maintain the spirit and the intention of the author. And yeah, I feel like that just wasn't done at all. For example, an element of this film, that the author talks about how there isn't really any clear cut good or evil in her books. So she hated how it was ultimately boiled down to, oh, there's a big bad evil wizard man, and once we conquer the big bad evil wizard man, everything's good and everything's okay. She's quoted as saying, quote, evil has been comfortably externalized in a villain, the wizard Kumo/Cobb, who can simply be killed, thus solving all problems. In modern fantasy, literacy or governmental, killing people is the usual solution to the so-called war between good and evil. My books are not conceived in terms of such a war and offer no simple answers to simplistic questions, end quote. So yeah, I imagine it must be really, really frustrating, and I feel really bad for her because she really found an appreciation for Miyazaki's work. It expected probably the same quality of something like a Spirited Away or a Princess Mononoke, and really didn't get that. Because I was going to mention about the animation, like the animation isn't bad, but it felt like I could have just been watching any like anime series on TV. Again, like the animation's fine, it's serviceable, but there wasn't really any jaw-dropping, breathtaking. Like I didn't see the budget on screen. You know, when you watch Spirited Away or just those, or even in Totoro, those moments of just pure beauty
that looked painted, which were nice. Certain aspects of the scenery looked painted, which was kind of cool. There was also obviously your 3D elements here and there, but yeah, no, I'd agree as an overall, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a shame. I think it's just, I feel really, really bad for her. I feel bad for any creator whose, vision isn't, brought to what it was. But even then, you've got stuff like Christopher Tolkien, who really expressed his dislike of the Peter Jackson films, saying that, for the Lord of the Rings, saying that they were ultimately just boiled down to action films for teenagers. I forget the actual quote, but it was something to that effect. And I can kind of see that in some respects. I obviously I think they're incredible films. I mean, duh. But yeah, I don't think J.R.R. Tolkien would have liked the movies. I think it's fair to say, and I think that Christopher Tolkien was a good custodian of his father's works, and steered the ship very, very well. So I feel like Christopher's sentiments would have been echoed by his father as well. So
yeah, but I know that Tolkien was he was like, it was more than just a story to him and all that. Like, yeah. I can't remember. I think I read something that said basically he was like, if you read it all and don't read the appendices, you're just reading an adventure story, but the appendices make it a world. He's basically, I can't remember if it what the quote was or if it was from him or anything, but it was that sort of thing. So I know he's very sort of like, yeah, but there's more to it. So obviously that's why it was as long as it was. But like you say, movie wise, how can you make it as long as that? Really?
Yeah.
You can't make a 16-hour Lord of the Rings movie. I mean, there would be an audience for it, but not enough to bring back the money.
I don't know. You say this, if they released a super extended edition with all the deleted scenes in, and re-released it, people would watch it.
If they initially went, right, 16-hour movie, boom.
Oh, just one film?
Yeah.
Oh, like, Christ, yeah, no.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah. There would be an audience, but not big enough to, because you got to think about how much more money that's going to cost to make as well.
We've got a couple of comments here. Brinsley says, I haven't seen this one, just watching some of the trailers. And Bath Time also says he hasn't seen it. I think Tolkien would have loved first-time reactions to the movies far more than the trilogy. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think he may have appreciated some of the artistry that went into it, maybe, like the conceptual design. Yeah, the beams, yeah. Bath Time says he also wouldn't really have cared that much, in my opinion. He'd have just said, read the books. Yeah. Yeah,
I would if it was me though, and I didn't like it. I'd be like, yeah, you can just read the books, but I would make a point. I would be like, yeah, but that ain't anything to do with me. I was like, if I hated it, I would make that whole point and say it's nothing to do with me. The book is the real thing. This is just something I did to just, make sure I wasn't homeless. So.
And that's a great segue onto this quote. So, the author Le Guin's response to Goro, who was the director of the film, Goro Miyazaki, apparently was, quote, "It's not my book. It's your movie. It's a good movie," end quote.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful, succinct, to the point. It's like, it's a good film, but it ain't my story. It ain't my book. It ain't the words that I wrote.
Every movie people release, they need to make 5 versions of. One that's long.
Oh, so Watchmen, basically. They did that with Watchmen. They released 3 different cuts. There's a theatrical version, which is like, I don't know, like 2:45 or something like that. It's fucking long. And there's the director's cut, which clocks in at just over 3 hours. And then they did the ultimate cut, which is like 4 and a bit hours, where it adds like a whole like animated graphic novel section. I only watched
the theatrical, but the theatrical was great, and I don't see any reason to add anything else.
There were a couple of scenes of the director's cut that I do wish had have been in the theatrical version, but yeah, the director's cut adds some really weird scene transitions in there and some really over the top violent segments. I mean, it's Zack Snyder, isn't it? But there's one scene especially in the director's cut version, which was the death of Hollis Mason, which I wish had been in the theatrical version. But yeah, this is interesting as well. So Hayao Miyazaki was invited to the premiere of the film, and apparently during the screening, Hayao Miyazaki walked out for a smoke break midway through, and apparently commented, quote, "You shouldn't make a picture based on your emotions," end quote. And then he continued saying, quote, "I was looking at my kid. He's not an adult yet. That is all." And then apparently he wrote a message for his son later saying, quote, "It was made honestly, so it was good," end quote. I feel like that's just like a little bit of a pat on the back, maybe. It's just like, yeah, it was made honestly. So like you get a commiseration award kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. What I can't find the direct quote here, which is annoying me because I did find this earlier, but I did read somewhere that Hayao Miyazaki felt like his son was trying to emulate his style too much, when he would have appreciated his son to sort of have his own stamp and make his own statement. I don't know how you felt about that. Did you feel like it was trying to echo too much previous Miyazaki works or works of Studio Ghibli?
I mean, I don't think it was trying to. I think it's kind of like when you watch a Disney movie, though, isn't it? Like it feels like they've got something that kind of keeps them similar. I don't think it was trying too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
although saying that Studio Ghibli is all over the place for a lot of different things, but it feels like there is it didn't feel like it was trying, you know.
It reminds me of the end of Inception, where they're with like Pete Postlethwaite and Cillian Murphy, where they plant the idea in his head in the dream, where he says like, "I'm sorry I couldn't have been more like you, Father," and Pete Postlethwaite says, "No, I'm disappointed that you tried to be like me." And it almost feels like that a little bit, but I think it was just
it was weird because everyone was like, "Oh, it's really hard to get. Like you have to watch it like 3 or 4 times." And I went cinema to see it, and I was like, "Also hard to understand about that."
Mm-hmm.
Like I am one of the last people. Like if something's confusing in a story, I'm one of the last people that I understood that. I'm like, I have to like either rewatch it or like proper. But that I was like, I don't understand what people think is so hard to understand about this movie.
I mean, it could also be a sense of hubris from Hayao Miyazaki's part as well. Like when you're a master at your craft, you know you've won Oscars, you've helped create this company and get the identity of the company with all of your hit films. You probably think, "Oh no, this is like my habitat here. This is my environment. This is my kingdom." Maybe, yeah. What do we think about this quote as well? Because I'm not sure I agree with this quote. "You shouldn't make a picture based on your emotions." What do we think about that?
I mean, it's the whole don't let your emotions get ahead of you. It's like just do your thing as your thing. I don't know. I mean, it's yeah.
But you've got to have that initial spark, right? You've got to have some sense of emotion, or like I've got this vision of this story. It's going to be based on elements that I've pulled from, my own upbringing or from things that I'm interested in, and I've made this thing, and I can't wait for people to see it. Like that's a picture based on your emotions, surely.
I mean, yeah, but yeah. I just think when it's only your emotions go into it, you've got to think structure. You've got to think this as well. Right. I think it means it's kind of like you've got to think that as well, rather than just what you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see. Bath Time says he sounds like a stereotypical Asian dad. Son, you're not good enough. Don't give in to your emotions. Yeah, a little bit. You world famous animator yet? No, then keep practicing. Like, is that in Family Guy or something?
Yeah, what was it? It's like you. I can't remember. It was like, yeah,
you doctor yet?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, then keep studying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually looked everywhere to see if I could find a quote from Goro about the movie. I did think, like, maybe, God, with all the stress of this and, like, you know, living in your father's shadow and your father breathing down your neck, just telling you you're not good enough, you're never gonna make, you can't draw, you're not a director, what are you doing? It doesn't stop him from directing a few other films, so I think that Goro actually directs 2 other films in the rest of the Studio Ghibli line. We've got From Up on Poppy Hill from 2011, and The Earwig and the Witch, which is the lowest rated Studio Ghibli film, but still, that was from 2020. And then he was an executive producer on The Boy and the Heron. So 2 more director projects.
Don't you think the evil dude looks like, you know, the witches in the from Roald Dahl?
A little bit, yeah. Like the Grand High Witch.
Yeah, remind me of that a little bit, like the way, like the burning and the
I've seen like that image before. I don't know if it's like in Japanese mythology or something. Like the very long, lank black hair with just like the black empty eyes. Like I've seen that on something before. I can't remember what I'm thinking of. And maybe I'm thinking of like The Ring or something. You know, like
The Ring was not a good movie.
No, it wasn't. I agree. And that gets like loads of hype as well. We're talking about the American remake here, right?
Yeah. With I've not watched the Japanese one.
Yeah.
When you watch the American one, it's not good. Yes, that's Lilo, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Because what was she? Was she in? Which one was she in?
The American one, wasn't she?
No.
I can't remember. You've watched the dubbed version.
Crap. I think it was Spirit. I can't remember. Yeah, she was in one of these, and yeah, that was she's in The Ring and Lilo.
What do we think to the music of this one? Sort of like almost Celtic, sort of like Irish vibes a little bit.
Music anymore at Studio Ghibli. None of them have really impressed me too much. They've all been okay.
Dude, you're insane. You're insane. Like some of the soundtracks to these are absolutely breathtaking.
I've just heard better things in my life. I'm just like, oh.
I'm going to go on record. I'm going to repeat what I said. Was it last week or the week before? Whatever. You said the music to Lord of the Rings wasn't all that great. You have no input in this.
I said it was okay. I said it was okay. I've heard better.
You're insane. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
I have. I've heard loads better.
So yeah, the music of this film was done by Tamaya Terashima. I thought it fit the film fine. I did like the sort of the European or sort of like Celtic vibes to it, like the Irish fiddle kind of sounds to it. It sort of added to the authenticity of the world a little bit. But yeah, there's no sort of like sweeping memorable themes. It ain't a Joe Hisaishi score, unfortunately. But oh yeah, Bath Time. Go and check out our review of the movie trilogy.
It's okay. It's good. It's just, I've heard better.
And here's the thing. I thought maybe, okay, so you were watching the films for the first time. You were probably paying attention to, you know, like the characters and the story. And maybe your ear wasn't like tuned into the music or something. You was watching the action scenes. You've gone and watched Fellowship a bunch of other times since we watched those films. And your opinion is still that the music is just okay. I can't believe that.
Jurassic Park had a better soundtrack. There's things I prefer.
Love this, saying that Dale's got his wall painted grey to match his darker grey blinds, so probably not a surprise.
See, look, I think, like I say, Jurassic Park is better. I think, yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is terrible. Like,
you hate The Last Crusade. What other hot takes you've got?
No, I'm on about music wise. I don't think. Oh. Yeah, like I know it was Danny Elfman, but it's all right. I don't think it's that great. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think there's better movie scores out there.
Okay,
I think Star Wars is great. That's something. Like, I think Star Wars has got a great movie score. I think
it has. Yeah. It has.
See, but there's Lord of the Rings is okay. It'll do.
Mortal Kombat is number one soundtrack. I can only remember one theme from Mortal Kombat, and that's like the Cool '90s one, like dun 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 dun, dun like the proper like.
The Kingdom Hearts soundtrack is great.
It is. It's all right. No, it's just okay. It's just okay. It's nothing special.
I think
it's all
great.
right.
I think it's amazing. It's not a bad. There's not a bad piece of music in that.
That's sort of my review from Tales from Earthsea. Really, just a fairly unremarkable film.
I think it would have been better with a bit of Metallica.
Which Metallica song would you have gone for?
I'm thinking Master of Puppets, just at the end.
Okay.
With the when the villain's like burning and dying, like just kick him and Master of Puppets. I think that'd be great.
May have made it better. Who knows? I don't think this is deserving of all the hate, but I do think that when you've cemented yourself, as a
just if you compare it, maybe, but it's not as its standalone thing.
Yeah. I think when you've cemented yourself as a company like Studio Ghibli, we've had some of the best animated films ever made before it.
When you listen to Gary Glitter and you talk about his music and you say it's shit, it's like it's not worth all the hate just because he did what he did. The music, it's still cool. That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. This is like Gary Glitter, really.
So, are you saying the music of Gary Glitter is better than the Lord of the Rings soundtrack?
No, I'm saying it's better than him touching kids.
I can't argue with that. I feel like Tales from Earthsea is just a fairly unremarkable film, and I think that the person who I feel the worst for in all of this is the author, who's crafted this whole world and book series and entrusts it in the hands of who she thinks is Hayao Miyazaki, and ultimately it doesn't go that way.
At the end, when it says the end, I like that kind of stuff and things end on there. It's like, no, it's quite nice.
I liked it because it finished, and I was like, oh, thank God, that's 2 hours done. No, it wasn't that bad. It was just very plodding. I think that it didn't need to be 2 hours. I thought it did really, really drag, especially the second act. I don't think the characters are interesting enough to carry this film. They're all just very basic stock characters, which is fine, but I want characters with a bit more personality. Maybe they do in the English dub, but I didn't get it in the Japanese version. I think
end saying Finn.
Yeah.
Why was that a thing?
It's French, wasn't it? Fawn.
No, it's Finn. That's French, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think you go to France and say, "Oh yeah, Finn."
Like, no, but why did everything used to end saying Finn at the end in French?
I guess the French were putting out a lot of films, I guess.
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember that used to be a thing. I don't know if I was either watching the French dub or something. I don't remember, but I was a kid. I don't bloody know.
Do we get any French people in the comments? Can you speak French? Let us know.
It's a thing. Apparently, it used to be a thing. Like, that was a trend years ago. We used to say Finn instead of the end.
Oh, this is probably a bit of an insight into one of our future videos that we'll have coming out in December time, but we can give a little sneak peek. Bath Time says, how many of these Ghibli films would go into the top tiers of your Disney tier list? See, that's a very difficult question for me because, I mean, I have much more of a closer connection to the Disney film catalog, having grown up with them, than I do Studio Ghibli. A lot of these films I'm new to as of this year. But yeah, if we're talking about just like quality of animation, which ones would go in the top tier, whether A tier or S tier? For me, Princess Mononoke, probably Spirited Away would get in there.
One that I really didn't like that was boring. What's the fucking name of it? With the animals.
The animals?
Yeah, fucking can't remember the name of it. That would have been like Z tier. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Disney or Studio Ghibli?
Studio Ghibli.
Oh, with the animals? Oh,
yeah.
Well, not Pompoko.
Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't Pompoko, was it?
With the raccoons?
Yeah, the raccoons. Yeah, fucking shit movie. Boring.
That's not a Z tier film. That's not a Z tier. I will fight you on that.
Coco, not Coco, fucking Enchanted. Encanto.
Yeah. Encanto.
Jesus Christ.
Just listed like 2 other Disney movies.
Yeah.
So I think Totoro would probably be in like your top tier as well. Yeah. We're going to do a tier list once all said and done. Actually, I don't think we haven't got loads of movies left. I think we've clocked it in that we're going to be finishing sort of mid to early December, I think, if we keep on track. So if you want to give your final thoughts on Tales from Earthsea, and then we'll announce next week's video.
Good. Sorry. Like it'll do. It was very average. That's the thing. It wasn't. Yeah. There were good elements. and there were very, very, very mediocre elements, and it was kind of like it did that, and then it kind of stagnated and was like, and that was kind of the vibe of the movie.
Well, next week we are back to Hayao Miyazaki directed one. You probably thought, well, I can't have my son getting all of the limelight, so I need to come back in. Comes back out of retirement to direct another film. It's Ponyo. It's about a fish. I guess it's like Studio Ghibli's answer to Finding Nemo. I have no idea. I've heard the song. It's a very fun sort of like, you know, catchy little jingle like My Neighbor Totoro.
I'll be like, nah, this is amazing.
You probably will love this one, I imagine. An hour and 41, so it's still up there. It's getting there. Oh, I was going to say as well, like I think Tales from Earthsea was one of the first animated films to be like rated PG-13 or something. There is a moment of violence towards the end of the film that really caught me off guard. You know when the Warlock character gets his like fucking arm chopped off?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, is it more violent than others that we've seen?
Well, Princess Mononoke is pretty violent. That's got like decapitations, head splatters.
Get that PG-13.
I think maybe Princess Mononoke did as well. I read somewhere that it got a PG-13 rating, which was one of the first. But Ponyo's a U, so that's nice, isn't it? It's going to be a nice, charming little film about a fish. So yeah, with Ponyo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well we've got 2 months of this. Oh, it's going to be like the back end of December then, probably by when it all's said and done. And we do have another retrospective planned for next year as well, which is going to be another big animated retrospective for a certain anniversary of a company. Bath Time says, having never seen it or any Studio Ghibli films, I'd say it was bang average. That's fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was bang average.
But it's nice to cross another one off the list, isn't it? Sometimes we can actually announce. Before we announce actually what it is, we are gonna have that second retrospective throughout the rest of this month, right? That we've discussed.
Yes.
Okay, right. I'm going to announce it now. So this isn't happening until a week on Monday. So it's going to be Monday the 27th. We're going to keep the Studio Ghibli stuff going. That's going to be every Wednesday. We're not going to deviate from that at all. But we are going to add like another little mini retrospective in, if you will, of films, which is going to lead into probably the biggest release of, well, certainly November, I would say, with Wicked Part 2 coming out. Mark your calendars, everyone. We're going to be doing... Oh, this is going to be so masculine, like the words that are about to come out of my mouth right now. We're doing a Wizard of Oz retrospective. Now, I found out that apparently there's fucking hundreds of these films of Wizard of Oz from like the bloody 20s and before, or whenever film was first made, there were like short Wizard of Oz films. We're just going to keep it to the mainline movies. So the end of this month, 27th of October, you can expect the original, the OG Wizard of Oz, which I haven't seen probably since I was in single digits. So I'm very much looking forward to watching it.
A couple of months ago.
You're already prepared then. You're already prepped for it. The first Monday of November, we'll be talking about Return to Oz, which is my favorite out of the stack. Then we've got Oz the Great and Powerful, the Sam Raimi film, which I've never seen before. Mila Kunis is in it. Yeah, I think she plays like the Wicked Witch.
American Psycho too.
Oh God, they did make that film, didn't they? You're right. 17th of November, we'll be talking about Wicked Part 1, a film which I still haven't seen, and you have absolutely watched because the love of your life is in that movie. And then the following week, that weekend is going to be when Wicked Part 2 comes out. So we're going to be doing a review on that. So it's going to be all out Wizard of Oz alongside the Studio Ghibli stuff. So at least there's going to be a bit of variety with the content coming out on the channel. We'll be doing 2 reviews a week. So yeah, that's sort of going to see us out through to the rest of the year. We also have Zootopia 2 coming out. So we can sort of add another little notch on the Disney retrospective thing that we've got going with another sequel. Are you excited?
There's no actual Disney movies anymore, is there?
No, and then we've got Avatar 3 in December, which is going to make all of the money.
I will never watch.
It's going to make like 3 billion, inexplicably. I don't know how those films keep making that kind of money. But
because the general public are shit, have no taste, are full of fucking retards that have no personality, and that is why the Marvel movies did well.
God, don't pull any punches, Dale. Jesus Christ, tell it like it is.
No, but it's true. The Marvel movies were just full of, they were devoid of personality, of any fucking direction. It was once you've seen one, you've seen them all. And I'm not disputing people that like them, because there was a bit of a thought, I get it. And but I dropped off after Incredible Hulk because I was like, okay, well,
You didn't make it very far. You got 2
I know I
films
didn't. I know I didn't. After the second one, and then I watched Infinity War because it was supposedly really good, and it was. And then I watched Endgame, and that I thought Endgame was better than Infinity War.
Oh, what are you smoking, boy? Oh, hell no.
I know. I generally thought Endgame was better than Infinity War. I was like, okay, I preferred it. But yeah, it's just The point is, the general public are full of fucking retards that don't have a clue, like whether an inflated blue foot for your left foot is better than a healthy looking white foot on the other side. They can't tell the fucking difference because they're fucking idiots. Essentially.
There we go. Bath Time says, is it films where they say the name of the film? Well, I guess they do. Yeah, we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Okay, so we've got that. Do they say in the second one, we need to return to Oz?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Or do they say Oz, the great and powerful? Do they say Wicked? Does someone in Wicked go like, oh, this is like so wicked? Or something like that? Does anyone say that?
Like they do, though.
Oh, God.
I feel like they do, but it's not in that way. I can't remember.
Did someone say, oh, this is so wicked, part 1?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how they do it, but I feel like the name is dropped.
Oh, Jesus.
The name dropping of things is interesting, isn't it? It's either goes a way that you go, eh, or it either goes a whole lot. Why?
Yeah, yeah.
It's.
Hey, we got Carl who says, Return to Oz was nightmare fuel as a kid. Yeah, I've got it right here. This has been on my 80s DVD shelf for ages. I love this movie. And yes, it is terrifying. And that's part of the reason why I love it. I can't wait to go back to that one.
Do you know, also was nightmare fuel when we were younger? Human Centipede, that was pretty... That was pretty nightmare fuel.
I only ever watched the first one. I never got around to watching the second two.
That one's just weird. That's why it's disturbing. It's great.
And then Eric Roberts is in the third one. It's like set in a prison or something.
Yeah, I watched part of it, but it just wasn't that good. So I was like, but there was a novelty from the first one. There was a novelty in the second one. By the third one, I was so old and I lost interest. I was like, okay. But the first one gets very boring. It's kind of pointless with a lot of stuff that happens. But the second one's just fine because it's just demented, and that's great.
Is the second one like the Godfather 2 of the Human Centipede?
I don't know. I didn't like the Godfather 1, so I haven't watched Godfather 2.
You full of the spicy takes tonight, aren't you? You don't really care for the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. You hate The Last Crusade. Godfather isn't that great. You prefer Endgame to Infinity War. What is happening?
The thing is, I don't dislike fucking Last Crusade. I just think it's the worst of the three. I think it was, that's all.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, like, you've explained your reasoning for that before. I mean, you can explain it again for people who may not know. And I agree with you, but that's why I find it the most entertaining.
Because there's too much plot. Because it's the idea of Indiana Jones is there's a thing he needs to go and get because he's Indiana Jones, and shit happens, and that's it. And there's too much going on that I was like, but it just lost its Indiana Jones vibe to me. It was just...
And that argument is why I hate the modern Bond movies. I'm like, Bond should just go on a mission, bang a hot like Bond girl, have a kick-ass intro theme, get in some car chases, do some cool shit, and save the day because he's James fucking Bond. And guess what? The next movie he's going to do it again.
I've never seen a James Bond movie.
I've pitched that we should do that retrospective. Now, here's the thing. I did a retrospective of the Bond films on my old channel that shall not be named. I did a Bond retrospective 1 year after that on my own channel when they put them all back in the cinemas. You haven't watched any of them. We could do another James Bond like retrospective. I would want to see your opinions on them.
But I have watched The Italian Job, which is not related at all, but I have seen it.
No. But it has got the Union Jack in there, so you know.
Yeah, I thought I'd just make.
Although that's a little bit spicy nowadays, isn't it? Like, can we fly the Union Jack or not? Well, both probably. Let's see. Bath, going back to the Wizard of Oz stuff, Bath Time says, which one is the one with the talking bed? That's Return to Oz. It's got a moose's head, and they give it like the powder of life. Hmm?
I was thinking of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks just because he said bed, and I was like, it's that movie with the bed.
Well, what does the little kid say to it? Like, what do you mean about my knob?
Yeah, I was like, because the thing is, I haven't seen that in ages. I was like, is this legit a thing that was in there? It probably is, but like out of context, that's great.
Carl says, watched Goose Boy, which is a horror film from the point of view. Oh, sorry, Goose Boy. Good Boy. Yeah, no, I've seen the trailer for that. It looks really interesting, actually. Watched Good Boy, which is a horror film from the point of view of the dog. Was really good, but the story is very vague.
Like, from the point of view of Cujo.
No, it's like Paranormal Activity, but from the dog's perspective.
So the dog's just sitting there going,
because you know, like dogs can see that kind of shit, can't they? So he can see all this like horrible shit, and I guess he's trying to like warn the owner.
I feel like this whole dogs can see that kind of shit, but I think dogs are just like, they just know that you're about to go crazy, and they go, should we just fuck with you? And that's what they do. They just pretend there's shit there, and they're like, yeah, it's not really happening. And then they run off, and everyone's gone, the dog's been killed, and they're like, no, I just left you. You're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Bath Time says the search for the father is the search for God. It's perfectly fine in the context of Indiana Jones.
I'm not saying it's not fine. It bored me more because I was like, but this isn't the Indiana Jones I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And Bath Time says Moonraker has a skydiving scene that I'm really surprised isn't held up as one of the greatest stunts of all time. Yeah, no, I totally go. I fucking love Moonraker. Moonraker is so underrated. It's funny, it's comedic, but isn't that why we love the Roger Moore era Bond? It's perfectly exemplified. It's over the top, but it's just so much fun. I love it, and the ending as well, where he's got to like shoot the missiles down, and the soundtrack in that scene, it's like really tense.
I'm not
Moonraker fucking slaps.
I'm not a fan of the Green Mile either.
Oh, God, right, we're gonna round it off there. We're gonna round it off there, I think. Right, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in tonight. Kept the conversation going, kept us company. We really appreciate you guys. If you have seen Tales from Earthsea, apparently a lot of people in the comments haven't, but if you're discovering this video after the fact and you have watched it, let us know your opinions on it. And yeah, we're just going to be continuing this Studio Ghibli retrospective. Even if some of the films aren't great, I'm still very much enjoying watching all of these and finally getting to cross them all off my to-watch list. Do consider subscribing as well for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. As I mentioned, we'll be branching into that little sort of like mini Wizard of Oz retrospective in a couple of weeks' time, which should be fun and something a little bit different and new to discuss. And yeah, that'll do it. If anything comes out, if I get time to do another stream, if like a big trailer drops or something like that, of course I'll be on here. I'd like to do some more Lord of the Rings content at some point. I know we've talked about maybe doing like a review of the book once you've got around to the appendices. So that's on the horizon as well. And yeah, just appreciate you guys for still tuning in. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everyone.